Your host Mike Davis, and in today's video we're going to be discussing what Elon Musk had to say about the global recession and why this could loom all the way into 2024. We're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about this story and how this could affect every investor out there. In this channel we are going to be breaking down the top stories in the traditional markets, what's happening with stock markets, what's happening with macro environments, and everything and anything that you need to know to stay one step ahead and to navigate your way through this turmoil market that we find ourselves in today. Make sure you sit back, you relax, you enjoy today's video, you hit that like button, you subscribe to the channel, and you leave your thoughts and comments down below. And make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video where I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on what Elon Musk had to say and why you need to hear exactly what is coming in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. But before we get into that, let's dive right into what Elon Musk had to say. So this is coming out as of today. Elon Musk says a global recession could last all the way until the spring of 2024. You better buckle up there. Every investor needs to hear this. Tesla founder and CEO Elon Musk said in a tweet he thinks the global economic decline can last all the way into the spring of 2024. Musk becomes the latest corporate titan to express reservations about the economy, joining Goldman Sachs CEO, JP Morgan CEO, and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. We'll be touching on Jeff Bezos later in this video because I think it is very, very needed to hear about his thoughts and opinions as well. But the star of today is Elon Musk. The Tesla founder and CEO thinks the global economic decline could last for another year and a half. And this is something that I think a lot of investors need to prepare for. I think everybody is getting caught up in this mindset of trying to jump in this market and trying to time this Fed pivot that everybody has been calling for since seemingly the beginning of 2022 when the Fed began to raise interest rates. Everybody is trying to say the market's priced in the interest rates and is trying to jump in this market and beat the Fed to the pivot. And this is causing more and more turmoil and more depression inside the markets because every time people are calling bottoms, every time people are thinking the Fed's going to pivot, inflation increases and we see the market turn to the downside. In a Twitter exchange early Friday morning Eastern time, the Mercile electric car executive and the world's richest man said a recession could continue until spring of 2024. The remarks came in response to a tweet the online name for Dogecoin co-creator Billy Marcus, who noted that the current coronavirus numbers are actually pretty low. I guess all we have to worry about now is the impending global recession and the nuclear apocalypse. It sure would be nice to have 1 year without a horrible global event, Musk replied. Tesla owner Silicon Valley, a Twitter account with 600,000 followers, then asked Musk how long he thought the recession would last, to which he replied, just guessing, probably until spring of 24. That means we are over a year and a half away before we see things get better, according to Elon Musk. You can see here's the thread right here. Tesla owner Silicon Valley, how long you think the recession could last? And then Elon Musk replying here, just guessing, probably until spring of 2024. Global GDP grew 6% in 2021, but it is expected to decelerate 3.2% this year and 2.7% in 2023. And I think that 2023 number is something a lot of investors need to keen in on, as people are continuing to say that the bottom is going to happen in 2022 and that 2023 is going to be a great year because we can't just have two red years in a row in the S&P. And that's something that, in my opinion, has me a little bit worried, is that everybody is a guessing game right now and everybody's expecting that next year to be better and that we are going to see some type of pivot, even though economic data is showing the complete opposite. That would mark the weakest pace of growth since 2001. Outside the financial crisis in 2008, the brief plunge in the early days of the COVID pandemic, the Federal Reserve projects GDP in the U.S. to grow just 0.2% this year and 1.2% in 2023. And in my opinion, those are going to get remarked and rejudged by the end of this year. I don't believe we will see a positive GDP in the U.S. this year, and I believe that this number will change in 2023 as well, but that's just my opinion. Musk becomes the latest corporate titan to express reservations about the economy. In a tweet Wednesday, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos said it's time to batten down the hatches, and I'll be talking about Jeff Bezos just here in 1 second. In preparation for rough economic waters ahead, that tweet accomplished a video of Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon, which we will also be watching in today's video, who said in a CNBC interview that he thinks there is a good chance of a recession in the U.S. And I think someone that also believes that the U.S. is just better than all these other countries countries and that the U.S. is going to handle this global recession the best. While that could be true, does not mean that the U.S. is not going to see more pain in 2023. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon has also been warning of economic turmoil. Musk's comments also came amid a rough week for Tesla. The stock automaker missed revenue estimates and cautions about a potential delivery shortfall. During the analyst call, Musk expressed more confidence in the U.S. economy than other parts of the world, which I do believe to be true, but we need to understand, just because the U.S. is strong in some aspects does not mean that we are going to somehow come out this the best, and the more that we are going to not see this turmoil affect the U.S. in a strong way. He also noted the impact that the interest rates increase are having on the economy. I think everybody is feeling that, from the average Joe to the richest person. The interest rates is causing a massive problem in the U.S. However, those are not going to come down until we see inflation inflect down, and we've all seen in 2022 to take it one day at a time. We thought the bottom could have been in June and July when we saw inflation start to decelerate, but then we saw that peak continue to accelerate in the later part of 2022. In the U.S. actually North America is in a pretty good health. He said a little bit of the raising interest rates more than they should. This is what everybody is saying, that they believe the Fed is tightening too fast, too quick, and that this is going to have a big effect on the market. And one thing that people need to understand, I think everyone thinks that because interest rates are getting risen, that means that they are going to affect the market immediately. Interest rate hikes don't start to inflect into the economy unless 6 to 12 months after they has been infected, okay? So understanding that when the Fed comes out and says they want to raise interest rates, it usually takes 6 to 12 months for the market to digest that and to really feel that tightening inside of the market. However, he said in China is quite a burst of recession of sorts driven by the real estate market, while Europe has a recession of sorts driven by energy. There seems to be seemingly problems across the board. Now, this comes after Jeff Bezos said the probabilities of this economic tell you to batten down the hatches. Okay, these are some of the most influential, successful people in the United States and some of the richest people in the entire world that are telling you to prepare for the worst. And let's take a list of what Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon had to say as well, because I think it's important for investors to hear this.
I think it's a time to be cautious. And I think that if you're running a risk-based business, it's a time to think more cautiously about your risk box, your risk appetite. I think you have to expect that there's more volatility on the horizon. Now, that doesn't mean for sure that we have a really difficult economic scenario, but in the distribution of outcomes, there's a good chance we could have a recession here in the United States.
And see, here's something that I think a lot of investors need to understand. These are some of the most successful, richest people that are saying the warning bells should be going off for everyone, yet everyone thinks that the worst is already over with and is already trying to race to beat the Fed to this pivot. And this is something that I believe is going to hurt many investors, is that they believe that this can't get much worse. And I believe that is the wrong attitude. Now, with all this being said, before we get into my thoughts and opinions on how I would digest the news that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and other people are talking about with the recession and global recession that could last into 2024. Let's take a quick look at the market, as we are seeing a lot of green across the board, with the Dow up 700 points, S&P up almost 100 points, and the NASDAQ futures up 250 points. A green day across the board, with the DXY now under 112. This is great news for the markets to see a little bit of a relief and kind of digest this news and start to make a little bit of a run after seeing beaten down prices over and over. Now, my thoughts and opinions on what Elon Musk had to say. I believe that he is going to be right about a lot of this, but you also need to understand that some of these people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they don't focus on macro landscapes. They don't focus on recessions. They are building these massive corporations and they just kind of go with what the headwinds are giving them. So I think you need to take this with a grain of salt, but I also think that if you're an investor in this market, you need to be dissecting this news every single day. You need to be looking around what's happening with the DXY, what's happening with stock markets, what's happening with the macro environment, what's happening with real estate, because all this is going to tell you and point to the directions of what's happening with the Fed, what's their next move, and what's the next move with the markets. This is going to be a long battle between what's coming in the future and what's happening today, and every investor needs to have the best strategy in force and have a plan in place to navigate this brutal market that we find ourselves in 2022. But like we all know, after a bear market that we find ourselves in now, there always is another bull market. It's just about having patience and preparation to make sure that that you can get to that bull market and have the best strategy in the bear market to make sure that you can flourish in the next bull market. That's all with today's video. Thank you for coming to Financial Freedom. I hope you stay tuned for the more updates that we are going to be bringing you. We're going to bring you everyday videos about what's happening, what's transpiring, to keep you updated and help you navigate, make a plan in place to dominate this market every single day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, comment down below, and Mike Davis is tuning out, and I will catch you guys on the next video.